I am your host, Danny Ocean, joined by the greatest thing Virginia Tech has ever given us other than Michael Vick. Los DeMix, how you living?
Well, as always, my brother, it's always a pleasure to be here with you because you already know when you see this Nas fade that it can only be one brother, the good brother, Los DeMix. People out there, how's it going? I will make a correction. We'll make one correction. Virginia Tech also produced Queen Harrison, who won the 400 hurdles and the 100 hurdles in the same year. So I gotta pay respect to the Queen, obviously. Of course, Michael Vick, greatest football hokey ever, other than Bruce Smith.
My bad. I am not versed in Hokie history, so that is my fault. You can go ahead and blame me for that one. As always, this show is brought to you by goingfor2.com. Head over to goingfor2.com for your daily fantasy advice, betting advice. Earn some extra paper on the side, but don't forget you got to report it to the IRS. You guys know that before we get started, this is episode 4. We've been at this thing for a month.
A month strong, baby.
A month strong.
Thank you to everyone who's been pulling up, who's been showing love. Definitely much appreciated. If I see any of y'all in the chat, you know what I'm saying? Much love.
Absolutely. Speaking of which, the chat is open. If you talk in the chat, we will definitely talk back. All participation is appreciated. Y'all know the routine. We're going to talk about the biggest sports stories of the week. And if we have enough time at the end, D might give us something special. I hope we have time at the end because it's been the best part of my day today reading his tweets about this. So let's jump into it. Let's start with the biggest story of the week. Russell Wilson and the Seahawks seem to be on the path to divorce. An article by The Athletic highlights the organization's unwillingness to bring Wilson in the fold on personnel and offensive philosophy. Wilson's biggest gripe seems to be with how the Hawks have handled the offensive line, which is fair. He's on pace to be the most sacked quarterback in NFL history. A list of teams that Russell Wilson is interested in include the Jets, the Saints, the Raiders, and Miami. Who is more at fault, Seattle or Wilson, and how does this end?
Okay, so I'll start with the first question. Who is more at fault? Definitely Seattle. I mean, let's just keep it honest here. You have a generational talent at the quarterback position, arguably top 5 in the NFL right now, maybe one of the 2 best quarterbacks, maybe arguably the best quarterback your franchise has ever had. And you refuse to surround this man with a decent enough offensive line. Like ever since they just decided not to give Marshawn Lynch the ball at the 1, they have essentially said to the offensive line, they're like, hey man, if Jesus can run around a little bit, so can you. So get the throwing. I mean, that's basically what they're telling him. I think it's a tough position that they're putting Russ in because he's thinking longevity. You know, he's seeing Tom Brady over here. You seeing Tom Brady over here winning Super Bowls at age 40. Aaron Rodgers, 30-something years old, 1 game away from the Super Bowl. Drew Brees getting even closer and closer to finally making his return to the Super Bowl. I mean, he's trying to be in that echelon of quarterbacks who are able to stay around, keep a long career. And it's hard when you facing J.J. Watt, Nick Bosa. Now you got in Chandler Jones, you got Aaron Donald. I mean, that's a scary division to be a quarterback in if you're Seattle. So I think the Seahawks are more at fault. And how I think this will end, ultimately, I don't think they're going to trade. I think this is all puff air in the gas just to get them thinking, hey, we need to protect him, or like there are other teams out here who will definitely give us the haul for him. So I don't think they'll end up trading him. But my only note here is, how is it that the Jets and the Dolphins are linked to every free agent quarterback, yet the Jets were out here starting Sam Darnold, and the Dolphins just drafted Tua Tagovailoa. So what did you draft them for?
I don't know. I know a few Dolphins fans, and they are not happy with Tua. So it seems like that noise is starting to reach the front office. I will say this: how bad is life in Seattle when you're like, man, I'd love to go play for the Jets?
Yeah, you down bad, as they say.
All right, I want to play a game because I did a little digging on this. So since 2018, the Seahawks have had 6 picks in the first 2 rounds. How many of those picks are starters? And it's very easy. This is a layup.
1, DK Metcalf.
That is exactly right. in all fairness, their pick this past draft, Darrell Taylor had a stress fracture in his foot, and he was injured for most of the year. But the point still remains, like, you have one of the highest paid quarterbacks in the league. I think we don't talk about how a little bit of cachet comes with that, right? Like, I'm making this money. My word means a little bit more than everyone else's, and that's fair. If I'm the Seahawks, like, I suck at drafting. They have a second pick, a fourth, a fifth, a sixth, and a seventh. I say, hey, Russell, you get the fourth pick. You pick whoever you want. Hell, you have a top 5. Take the second round pick. You just give us the name when we're on the clock. Like, that's how much Russell should mean to this organization. I think I'm with you. They're not going to trade him. Russell has a little to blame. He holds onto the ball a lot and he scrambles a lot, but that's what makes him special. So I feel like if we percentage pie, 75% Seattle, maybe 25% Russell, but the players will always rule. For me, the story is more so about how Pete Carroll, I don't want to call it arrogance, but his commitment to his run first philosophy, right? Because the first half of the season, he kind of changed it and unleashed Russ, and they were one of the highest scoring offenses in the league. Russell was in the MVP talk. And then they played the Bills, and I think it was the Rams, and Russ had like 7 turnovers between those 2 games. And Pete Carroll was like, no, we're going to rein it back in. If Carson Wentz, the worst statistical starter in the year, can get Doug Peterson fired, Pete Carroll, you better do what that man says, because he can have you out on the street tomorrow. Like, if it comes between Russ and Pete, dog, Pete, you can go. You can bounce. Thank you for the past 8 years. You got us 2 Super Bowls. You got us 1. But yeah, Russell will win this power struggle if that's what it turns into. So if I'm the Seahawks, I sit Russ down. You get the second round pick. Give us the list of free agents that you want us to sign or want us to explore. Because if anything, those lists should be that list should be similar to your list, because y'all need the same thing. Like, y'all should be on the same page. Russ is going to win if this turns into a power struggle. It's Seattle's fault, and they need to fix it, and fast.
I agree. You don't want an unhappy quarterback at the helm.
I mean, just look at all the chaos that's happening in Houston right now, right? Like, Deshaun is adamant that he's not going to play. Now, if I'm Seattle, I do think that Russell Wilson does not want any negative PR whatsoever. So if you want to call his bluff, I think he might fold, because he doesn't want that bad press attached to his name. He like you said, he sees himself as a Drew Brees and a Tom Brady. And right now, I don't think, I'm going to be very careful when I say this. Russell Wilson will probably be in the Hall of Fame, but Russell Wilson is not a first ballot Hall of Famer.
I can get behind that. Well, it depends on how his career is starting to play out. If he ends up, winning another Super Bowl, continuing putting up the numbers he's putting up, I mean, I think we might end up putting him in as a first ballot Hall of Famer, 2 rings and a good career.
I don't know. So for me, it's a Hall of Fame. It's harder to get in the Hall of Fame than the NFL is in the NFL compared to the NBA, especially a quarterback. So like my baseline for Hall of Fame quarterbacks, were you consistently in the top 3 to 5 every year of your career? Because the guys in the top 3 are usually your first ballots. Like, in this generation of quarterbacks, Drew Brees, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, those are the 3 first ballot, no question. At 4, I have Big Ben. He's fallen off a little bit, but Big Ben is number 4. So
he's been consistent.
So Russell Wilson right now is fighting for the 5th spot. Like, he's fighting to get his name in the conversation. Like, he's not there yet. So he has a lot to prove. And I think he's starting to feel that pressure because he's getting a little old.
Yeah, he is getting old. But I think get surround him with an offensive line, give him some time. Maybe add one more skill position player. Your defense is always going to be sound. That team's going to be all right. They're going to be an easy 10, 11, 12 win team. But I'm going to be honest with you, you're not winning nothing if you cannot protect your quarterback. Especially in that division, man. You couldn't pay me enough money to play, 6 games against Nick Bosa, Aaron Donald, and J.J. Watt, and Chandler Jones. You just couldn't pay me enough money, man. You just couldn't pay me enough money.
Can't pay me enough money. Speaking of J.J. Watt, we're going to go on to the next one. So after all that noise, J.J. Watt went to Arizona. All that ring talk, he decides to go in Arizona. Does that move put them over the hump?
It's hard. It's hard for me to say yes, and it's hard for me to say no, because I first look at it as, first, can you win your division? And I'm looking at the Arizona Cardinals, and I'm like, all right, well, you're in the NFC West. Some might consider that the hardest division in football. So can you beat the Rams? Can you beat the Rams twice? Can you beat the Seahawks twice? And then can you beat the 49ers, a healthy 49ers team twice? Right? I would say you probably need to win at least 4 to 5 divisional games to ultimately win your division. And I'm looking at it from that perspective. I don't know if I trust this Arizona Cardinals team to end up winning their division. Maybe I'm wrong right now, but I'm thinking about the other teams in that division. I'm thinking Arizona might be second, third best team in the division. Then I think conference-wise, in the grander scheme of things, the NFC is obviously the much tougher conference. So, like, could they beat the best team in the NFC South, the defending Super Bowl champions, or the Bucs, or the Saints? Maybe. I think they could probably. I think depending on who's behind quarterback for New Orleans, they could beat the Saints. Obviously, I don't think they could beat the Cardinals. The North, come on now. I mean, they can beat every team except the Packers, in my opinion. And then the NFC least, I'd probably take them over the entire field. So I think this puts them. I think this puts them in the conversation for contenders. But in terms of, do I think this puts them in complete title contention, like they're the favorites? Nah, I can't get behind that.
I think you and I are on the same page. When we went over the show notes and we typed this question, I was just like, maybe. Like, does JJ Watt put them over the edge? I don't think so. I'm with you. Right now, I think Arizona is in the bottom of the division. As good as a team they are, I still don't think they're better than Seattle. I still don't think they're better than the Rams. And they're definitely not better than a healthy 49ers team, even with Jimmy Garoppolo at quarterback. So, I
still think the slander there is just a little premature. He took that team to the Super Bowl 2 years ago, and everyone's talking about he's trash. Come on now, give him time.
Exactly. I think Garoppolo is good enough, and Shanahan is a good enough coach to mask his defeats, which is there's proof because, again, he just went to a Super Bowl 2 years ago. So for me, the Cardinals are – and it's sad because it's just a tough division, right? If they were the NFC East, absolutely they'd be the favorite and I'd have more confidence. But you're not even the third best team in your own division. So let's see. I mean, getting Chandler Jones back will help. Last year, Arizona was tied for 4th in the league in sacks. They were top 10 in DVOA. Like, I mean, how much better can this defense get? Like, sure, Chandler Jones and JJ Watt, their sacks are going to go up. I'm sure you'll probably go up in DVOA. Their run defense was average last year. That's going to be fixed just by the addition of those two. But, I mean, again, like you said, back to the conference, so I listed the teams that I think are better than Arizona as we stand right now. Tampa, Green Bay, New Orleans with Jameis, because I believe New Orleans should stick with Jameis Winston. I think Jameis has a lot left, and I think under the right coaching, Jameis can be the number one pick that we think he is. Now, I got Seattle, I got the Rams, the 49ers. Yeah, I see them, and you're probably going to curse me out for this, and I completely deserve it, but I even kind of had Dallas over them, like a healthy Dallas. That offense was humming last year before Dak got hurt. Like a few fixes on the defense.
But
excuse me,
that defense couldn't stop a runny nose.
I'm saying like a few fixes. They fire Mike Nolan. You fixed it. Like the defense needs an overhaul, but you don't need a top 5 defense. You need a top 15 defense with an offense like that. Like if Dallas is healthy and their defense takes a baby step forward, like I'd put Dallas in the same breath as Arizona, maybe not better, but in the same breath as Arizona. And that's where I think they are. I think they can make the playoffs. I mean, it's a stretch, right? The field might be expanding, but if they make the playoffs, they can win a game. And I feel like that's it.
Yeah, they could win. They could. I think they could easily go to an NFC East team and beat them in their house.
Yeah, like
it's divisional round, right? But it's like if they get the seeding of taking on, I don't know, the second place team, like the winner of the NFC North or the actual NFC West winner, who would probably be a first, second, or third seed. I mean, it's hard for me to pick them against them, but more than likely that 4th seed is going to be an NFC East team. So if you get the 5th seed, I think I like your chances.
Absolutely. Now, could the Arizona Cardinals be the Bills, the darlings that come out of nowhere? Absolutely, but I still need to see what they do in free agency. I still need to see what they do in the draft before I jump on the Arizona hype train. I didn't do it last year, and I was right. I'm not doing it again this year.
Because they came out hot and just started slow last year. I mean, just ended slow.
Yeah, I mean, and I hate this. I'm sorry for any Cardinals fans listening because I'm not here to like bash on you because Arizona owns Philadelphia when it matters. But I feel like for the past couple of years, we've gotten this Arizona hype, and it's like, for what? Like, we just here to see Fitzgerald catch a couple balls, get his little standing ovation in his graphic, and then we can go to the next game on Red Zone. I'm sorry. I'm just not.
I mean, they got a lot of reasons to be excited. Kyler Murray is an exciting player. Obviously, you add a top 3 receiver in Hopkins. You know, getting some pieces on the defensive end will help. So I'm intrigued to see what other moves they make in this offseason before I'm ready to deem them as a true contender.
So one question off of that. It sounds like you're a Kyler Murray fan. Like, do you believe the Kyler Murray hype?
Oh yeah, that
You do.
that guy can play football. He may be small, but he's a bulky type of small. I mean, dude's pretty big. Pause.
Yeah.
But I mean, dude, comparatively speaking to his peers, I mean, he's not the biggest, you know, at his position, but he can play football and he's a winner. I think that's all you need. You know, that speed, the speed that he has at the quarterback position offsets him not being the biggest or the tallest. Because I mean, soon as he gets the corner, turn on them jets. I mean, it's a wrap. You can't catch him. What does it matter how tall he is? You know. So I think Kyler Murray's the real deal.
Can I say something in the safe space?
You don't believe me?
I'm not there. I'm not there on Kyler Murray. I'm just not. I mean, he threw the Hail Mary to Hop. And I hate to talk because he seems like a really nice guy. I just don't see it. I'm not there.
The numbers don't lie. He's been putting up decent numbers. Last year, he made a drastic improvement from his first year to his second year last year.
And they were 8-8.
Say what?
And they were 8-8. Weren't they 500 last year? Like,
yeah, but they also lost some games that really could have went either way. You know, they won games like that, and they lost some games like that. So, but they also had some games where they lost where I was kind of like, you guys probably should have won that game. You know, like no, they didn't. No, they beat the Jets. They lost to some team that was like real questionable last year. I can't even remember off the top of my head, but it was like real questionable. And I was like, did you guys hit the strip club last night or something? Like, what was going on?
I mean, they low key let the Eagles hang around.
And yeah, was that week 1?
No, the Eagles game was towards Jalen was in. Like, that was towards the end of the year. I think the Eagles game was after the Green Bay game. No, the Saints game was after Green Bay. After Green Bay, after New Orleans, it was Arizona. So, I mean, maybe this is another one. Like last year, like I said, I spoke really bad about Josh Allen, and I had to eat my words. So I'm not going to do the same thing to Kyler. Like, I hope Kyler is successful. I'm just not there yet. I'm just not there.
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of the same way on Josh Allen, you know, because he had a couple bonehead. I ain't gonna call him bonehead plays. He had a couple plays. Like, probably my favorite play in football was when he threw the pass to the fullback when he was scrambling. Probably my favorite play, maybe in football. Because every time I watch it, I'm like, yo, what was this guy thinking at this particular moment in time? But I really wasn't believing the hype of them last year. That guy just took an amazing step forward, and I was like, oh no, this guy's legit. He's legit. So, you know, just give these young bulls a chance. Give them some time. They're gonna be decent.
That's right. It's only year 3 for him coming up. Let's move on. Let's have some fun. We've been talking about some serious stuff, and I saw this video on Twitter, and I thought of you immediately. So let's talk about the Knicks. So the Knicks are 4th in the East. They're 18-17, and they're acting like they've won a title. Should we let the Knicks fans be happy, or should we clown them for being dorks?
I'm indifferent. Part of me wants to be like, you guys are one game above 500 in the Eastern Conference, and you're the 4th seed, and y'all are really hyped about this. Why? But part of me is also like, the Knicks have been so god-awful for so long that I just completely understand why y'all would have a glimmer of hope right now. You're seeing a culture change. You're seeing an overall change in New York, and you're happy about it because it's resulting and some wins. But I will remind you, Knicks fans, you are playing in the Eastern Conference. I know they're all professional basketball players, like Steph Curry said. Everyone's a professional in the NBA. Completely fair. All these guys can hoop, and they are a million times better basketball players than me. I just want to remind you that in the Eastern Conference, other than the first 3 seeds, the rest of that conference would likely not be in the Western Conference playoff picture right now. Just be honest. So I'm gonna let the Knicks have it because hey, the team's doing well, but let's be humble thyself, is what I'm trying to say. Humble thyself, because you were in the Eastern Conference. And there's a big drop between Philly, Milwaukee, Brooklyn, and then the Knicks. Like, you see how that pause I had to make? That's how big of a drop it is. It's Philly, Brooklyn, Milwaukee. And then the Knicks. That's all I got to say.
So I'm with you. Like, a part of me wants to say, you guys haven't been to the playoffs since 2013. Enjoy yourselves. Have some fun. And then I saw that video of them dancing outside of Madison Square Garden. I said, hell no, we got to let the chopper spray on these fools. You outside dancing, doing the cat daddy. You one game over 500. The best sports city in America, outside dancing, being one game over 500 in front of the Mecca. Y'all are some clowns. I'm sorry. I just can't get with it. You will get smoked. Let's hold on. They're the 4th seed. They'd play the 5th seed. Who's the 5th seed in the East right now?
Oh man, probably Boston. Is Boston?
Let's see. Like, let's look this up because
Which
it's the Heat. It's Miami. So I will take the Heat and Jimmy Butler in 5.
Yeah. The Heat would get them boys. They give him hell. It honestly might be a sweep. Coach Spo might lock him down. Wouldn't surprise me. You know what? I will say this. And New York Knicks fans, if you're watching this, please hear me when I say this. I want the New York Knicks to remain the 4th seed throughout the season. I want them to go into the playoffs as the 4th seed. And I hope the Boston Celtics are the 5th seed, because there's nothing that would make me laugh more than seeing Knicks Twitter versus Celtics Twitter in a battle of 7 games to see who would get smoked by, what was it? They play the 2nd seed.
Let's see. 1 plays 8, 2 plays 7,
3 plays 6.
1 would play the lowest seed out of.
So they play the 2nd seed if the 2nd seed won.
Yeah.
They either play the Nets or the Sixers.
Yeah, the Nets or the Sixers. You are correct.
Yes. So I want the Knicks 4th seed, the Celtics 5th seed. I want to see that playoff matchup so the fan bases could read that, because those 2 cities, they would be so grimy. Like, they would be talking so much cash money. The series would probably go 7 just for the winner of that series to lose in 4. Book me for it. I would guarantee the winner of that series gets swept by Brooklyn or Philly. Guaranteed. Well, unless the Celtics win it, then I'd probably pick the Celtics over the Sixers. They have their number. But if it's the Nets or the 2 seed, oh yeah, in 4 games, it wouldn't even be close. Every
week you get on this show, and every week you find a way to throw a subtle jab at the MVP. And it needs to stop. Joel Embiid will not let the Celtics beat him this year if that happens. Let's make that clear. Like, the Sixers will win in 5. That's not even close. But back to this Boston, New York series. I don't know if Twitter might have to shut down, because Celtic Twitter is already annoying as it is, right? Like, they out here having the audacity to talk about Jason Tatum in the same breath as Luka Doncic, as if that's a conversation.
Wait a minute, hold on. Jay Tatum nasty though. Hold on.
Jay Tatum is very nasty. This is no disrespect to Jason Tatum at all. This is just paying homage to Luka. Did you see what Luka did to Jason last week? Did you see the step back on national television? You say, "Get off my court. Go back to Boston where y'all hang out with Knicks fans."
Yeah. You know what? I'm gonna take a back seat to that one, because you got me. You got me.
Dog.
He had 6 points in like 3 seconds, 4 or 5 seconds.
the Luka Tatum debate, it's not close right now. Like it's Luka. And I don't know what Tatum fans are seeing, other than Boston fans. They ride for their players, but it's Luka, and it's not even close.
No, I can see that. I mean, now Luka, he's special.
He's Luka. Did you see him Saturday night? I know we're talking about the Knicks, but whenever we can talk about Luka, we will talk about Luka.
He's special. He's that man a problem. That man a problem for anybody on the court, 1 through 5. Don't matter who you are. Look, man, Luka Doncic is a problem. There's only like really like I'd say 10 players in the NBA where you look at them and you'd be like, oh, they're a problem for anybody. Anybody, whoever playing them for 48 minutes, that's a problem right there. Luka Doncic is one of those people. Like you see the maps in your schedule and you like, Lord have mercy, Jesus, take us home now, because you know that man coming out there at least giving you 25, at least
with ease on a bad night. But the great thing about Luka is he gives chunky boys like myself hope. Like Luka looks kind of, you see superstars like Joel is cut and Ben Simmons is cut and Tatum is cut, and then Luka just looks like, I just ate an Italian sub outside in the parking lot. Now I'm coming to drop 30. So Luka, thank you for giving fat guys like me hope. When I go back to hooping, I'm gonna try to decelerate like you, and I'm gonna blow my knee up.
The thing is about Luka, I love watching his game. I think the way like I don't even know if you know. Sometimes like he be making those Euro steps and he be looking like he moving in slow motion, but dog is moving really fast. He's just that skilled. He's just that. He gets to his shot so easily, takes his time, he's setting people up. You just can't stop him. You can't guard. He can go inside, outside. He can post you up. He can shoot it. I mean, he a problem. Luka Doncic is the problem. Luka Doncic is a problem. I hope everyone's watching. Do not sleep on him because he is not a brother. That man can ball. He can ball.
Luka is the Mewtwo of the old man at the YMCA because that's how he play. He plays like the old man at the Y, and it's beautiful to watch.
That old dude who just be in there, but every time he in there, he just giving somebody buckets using automatic moves, but you just can't stop him.
You can't stop him. All right, let's move on to something a little bit more serious. So an article came out the other day, about the University of Texas, and they're under fire after months of donors emailing the athletic department demanding that the school supports their fight song, which is entitled "The Eyes of Texas." The song has a pretty shaky history, to say the least. There are links to Robert E. Lee, and the song has links to minstrel shows that used to be performed at University of Texas campus. Players have expressed their frustration with the song and its history, but the athletic department is getting more pressure from boosters to keep the song. We know that money always wins in this situation. The fight song probably won't change. My question for you is there anything that the players can do now and in the future? Are there things players can do to force universities' hands in changing in confronting and changing their problematic history?
It's tough for me. It's tough for me to say because as a former kind of student athlete, like I recognize that a lot of these players, I would say some of these players who aren't necessarily, let's just say, NFL bound, right? There's a good chance they probably won't be playing in the NFL. They know that their education is, at stake here, and they want to make sure they graduate so they can get their degree and, go on with the other part of their lives. And I understand that for them, it's bigger because the most impactful thing any of these student athletes can do is just to not play, right? You can just straight up just not play. But with that, if you're not like really, really NFL bound, now you're risking, your education. And I think a lot of these players keep that in mind. So I will say this: the best thing for the players to do right now is to unify as a group and unite to something that they feel that they could do that best benefits that benefits their message, but also allows the athletes who may not be first, second, or even NFL bound picks to still feel comfortable in the decision, right? Because you don't want to go all radical with your decision and be like, no, we just not playing until y'all change the song. Because what if guy number 6 string running back who might not ever see the field, like, whoa, hold on now, like I want this thing to be changed too, but I'm not going to get no tick. So I think the best thing for the student athletes to do is to come together, unify, figure out what the message is, what they want to see changed, and hold the university accountable for that in a way where everyone on the team feels like their voice is heard. And in the future, man, I think that's tough, right? Because you're essentially asking you're essentially asking unpaid athletes who some of which may not end up seeing financial repercussions, because of their athletic talent. You're asking them to maybe put their livelihood at stake, and it's hard, right? Because you don't want to tell people don't stand up for what you believe in, but hey, man, you got a life too. You got to live. You know what I'm saying? You got things you got need to do. So I think it's tough, right? I would honestly say this is the best thing for them to do, like unify and figure out what your message is, and then figure out what's the best course of action where it's the most impactful. And if that means that everyone on the team feels strongly about not playing, then hey, I'm all for it not playing, because you're not getting paid. So it's not like they hurt in their pockets at the time. They hurt in someone else's pockets. But if someone says, hey, I really agree with this message, but me being a fourth stringer, I just don't know if I can afford it, to have my education taken. I completely understand that too.
So I think you and I have a really unique perspective of this. Like you said, you were a former college athlete. I used to work in college athletics, and I think we both understand the relationships that boosters have with the department, right? Like, sure, there's an athletic director, there's a board of directors, but I mean, if we're being honest, boosters call the shots, right? If enough boosters get together and say, hey, we need to get this coach out of here, like who pays these who pays these buyouts, right? Like you get rid of your coach, it's a $3 million buyout. Like the boosters pay that buyout. That's where it's coming from. I'm with you on that. Like it's the only way for change to happen in the sense that we're talking about is probably something radical, like recruits saying we're not even going to UT anymore. We're going to go over here. Or like you said, we're going to sit out, and that's not fair to ask of young people. Like you said, this is some people are there for the education. If they can get out without any student debt, then who am I to say, well, you need to sacrifice that, for them to remove a fight song. And especially in this case, like their head coach, Steve Sarkisian, has already said, well, don't worry, boosters, like we're going to keep doing this. Like there's nothing you can do. So if you're a UT football player, like you're in a rock and a hard place, you don't have the support of your coach. You don't have the support of the athletics department. So if you do anything that they see as radical, like you're probably going to be made an example of. You'll probably lose your scholarship. But let's imagine for 1 second that this did happen, that players said, hold on, I wrote this down somewhere. Let's say that players stop. I mean, in all honesty, that the power belongs to the players, but it takes a lot for that power to be unleashed. So let's say recruits say, you know what, we're not going to UT anymore. We're going to go over here, and University of Texas just starts losing a bunch of games. I don't think that's a hill boosters would die on if the demand is, hey, get rid of the fight song, right? And on the same side, if the head coach in the department says, hey, we're going to get rid of this fight song, and Texas wins and they become national again, contending for national championships, I think the boosters, they're not going to turn away from that. Like winning solves everything. They'll come back in a heartbeat and be like, hey, we were wrong. But I mean,
you're right. It's hard to ask young people who are at these universities, not getting paid, putting their bodies on the line, going through all this, for their education. It's hard for me to ask them do something that might jeopardize everything you've worked for. But at the same time, I also want to encourage them, like if you feel strongly about these issues and you guys as a unit think that this maybe more radical approach is the best way, I'm all for supporting it. Just, as long as you guys as a unit feel like this is the best way and the only way for this message to really get out, I'm all for supporting it. I'm just thinking for, third, fourth stringer. I mean, because starter wise, I mean, most starters, if you're starting for the University of Texas, I would say of the 22 people on offense and defense who are starting for the University of Texas, let's just say about 5 or 6 of them end up playing in the NFL next year. And then 5 or 6 of them probably end up getting drafted. I'd say 10 of them will probably end up on a roster somewhere. Whether there's practice squad player, second stringer eventually. But you cannot. It's hard for me to see like third, fourth, fifth, sixth stringers them feeling the same way.
And we've kind of seen this landscape shifting in college football. I mean, Northwestern tried to unionize. Was it maybe a decade ago? It got shot down, and then this past year, the Pac-12 players got together and wrote a letter to the Players Tribune about things they wanted before playing in the COVID-filled season. So I think we're at the foot, like we're on the precipice of the age of college athletes, maybe taking some of their power back. But
boy, I'm tell you something. Them college athletes get to unionizing, baby. The NCAA is in trouble.
Yes, they are. But I mean, history has taught us that the energy of change comes from youth, but that also means the youth, are usually the ones who are sacrificed in the name of change. So I think that's also important to note. And the last thing is, if you're an HBCU coach, man, if there was ever a time to strike, now is the time.
Tell them, none of that here. We ain't playing none of that.
Hey, man, we don't have a bowling alley in the weight room, but hey, you don't have to sit there and stand and listen to a song that was Robert E. Lee's jam. Like, I feel like that's a hell of a pitch.
Yeah, pretty much. Shoot, we ain't got a bowling alley in the locker room. We ain't got Xboxes in here, but just believe we gonna have your best interest at heart at all times.
That's right. I mean, because players are the culture. Like the culture moves as they say it moves. So if the top recruits say, "Hey, man, we're going to HBCUs," guess where ESPN gonna be Saturday night? At Virginia State at the HBCUs. Like the students dictate what happens. It takes a lot to get there, though. Do we have enough time for you to speak on something?
All right, I got some things I'm gonna speak on.
Speak on it.
So many of you, or some of you may know, today was I forgot the exact number, year, date, but today is the anniversary of Wilt Chamberlain's 100-point game. And while I do not deny the greatness that is Wilt Chamberlain and what he means to basketball, this is my thing. This man, Wilt Chamberlain, owns an abundance of NBA records that I don't know will ever be broken because they are so OD ridiculous and there's no footage. Case in point, this 100-point game, right? Now, most of you, if you were able to see the late, great Kobe Bryant score 81 points in a game, you really sat there and wondered, how in the hell did someone actually score 100 points in the game after watching Kobe score 81 points and seeing everything that takes? Okay, so this is my thing. There is no footage of this 100-point game. The only thing we have is a picture with Wilt Chamberlain saying 100, telling us that he scored 100 points. And we, as basketball fans, are supposed to just believe that this man went like 34, 35, 63 from the field. What was it, 18 free throws? And scored 100 points in a game with no footage? And we are just supposed to, with a blind eye, just believe this man scored 100 points in a game. I want to believe the Wilt greatness. This is not me saying I don't believe the Wilt greatness. I'm asking for somebody in the NBA community to just show me the damn footage. Show me the footage, like piece by piece, the phantom cam of these 34, 35 field goals so I believe it. Because right now, the record for most points in the game is 81 by Kobe Bryant until I see some damn footage of this 100. Just don't make no damn sense, man. And I mean, like some of these Wilt Chamberlain stat lines are like, what was it? He had like 56 points, 36 rebounds. Dog, who was he playing against? 36 rebounds? After rebound 15, I wish somebody was just like, out of here, dog. Like, I'm asking for a little bit. I want to believe the Wilt greatness. I'm asking for a little bit of footage, just proving that the man scored 100 points in the game. They had cameras in like the 1830s, 1860s. Back when they was fighting on if a black man is worth 3/5 of a man. They had cameras and whatnot. You mean to tell me nobody had any video of Wilt Chamberlain scoring 100 points? They only got him holding up the damn picture of. Come on. Mama raised a fool, but she did not raise no damn fool, man.
Ladies and gentlemen.
I just want to say.
I don't know if there's anything I can say to top that. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining episode 4 of Speak On It. D, where can the people find you?
Hey, if you want to hear more about me demanding to see this 100-point footage, follow me Instagram, Twitter, Twitch at LosDemix, LOSDEEMIX. Follow me. We kicking it. I just want to see some footage. You know, when you see this fade, it can only be one brother, the good brother, LosDemix, who just wants to believe in the Wilt greatness. My brother, man.
My name is Danny Oshie. You can catch me on Twitter at MadAds14, MADADS14. As always, thanks to goingfor2.com for hosting Speak On It. D, let's say goodbye to the people.
People, thank you for being here for episode 4. You know we'll catch you again next Tuesday, 7 p.m. Be here. Don't be there. And if you're not here, you will swear. Straight up.
Ooh, that's fresh out. That's straight out of Fresh Prince, yo. That's all we got. Peace.